welcome to
the Plant-Based Podcast.
In case you didn't know already, plants are amazing. You can
Eat them,
wear them,
drink them,
nourish your skin with them,
grow them,
love them,
and be inspired by them. So why not join us on the Plant-Based Podcast as we speak to the movers, shakers, and growers in this amazing plant world.
This episode of the Plant-Based Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Natural Grower. Launched in 2019, their award-winning liquid fertiliser and soil conditioner is made entirely from maize. Visit naturalgrower.co.uk to nurture your soil and boost your plants and veg. Enter PBP15 for a 15% discount as a PBP subscriber.
Well, we're at a very exciting location in Highgate today in North London, and we are with Ian Drummond, who is Creative Director of Indoor Garden Design. And in my mind, they're the forerunners of designing with houseplants, and they describe themselves as interior landscapers. So they're doing the same as garden design outside, but actually indoors in offices and indoor spaces. So it's really, really fascinating. And I've been waiting to visit here for such a long time. So welcome to the podcast, Ian. How are you doing?
I am good, yeah.
Yeah. You got such a lovely persona about you. I'm sure this is going to be an excellent interview. So tell us, firstly about yourself and kind of, did you study plants? Kind of, how did you then come to be working in this industry?
Okay, yes, I studied, but a little bit further along the line. I kind of, as a really young kid, I think I was about 4 years old, parents gave me houseplants. Lived in central London, as I still do. Lived in a council flat. We had no outside space, so no greenery around us at all. It was quite a bit of a bleak estate that we were on. And introduced to houseplants, and I kind of just loved them. And those houseplants come a bit of a playground. I used to use Lego and play people and all sorts of things around them. And then that developed to gaining a window box and growing seeds as well. And it never really went from there. It was the time I was about 10 years old. I had a relative that became disabled, and I was given kind of free run of her garden. So kind of like that was it. I was hooked on horticulture, and that's what I wanted to do. Completely discouraged at school and education. It's like not a career, not considered something you should be doing. But my parents were amazing, and it's like, this is what you want to do. This is you. Just go for it. Find that opportunity. And it was actually my mum found that opportunity. It was an advert in a paper. That's how old I am. And for this apprenticeship when I was still at school, I hadn't even done exams, and this come up. So I went for an interview. Finished my exams on a Thursday. Started work on a Monday, doing an apprenticeship, doing floristry and interior landscaping.
You know, yet another person on the podcast whose love of plants started when they were young.
Yeah.
It's almost always someone, like a parent, grandparent, family member who gets, as a young child involved in plants. It's almost everyone who we talk to. It's extraordinary, really.
It's amazing.
Never goes away,
No,
it?
And then it's in you. It's part of you.
Yeah.
And then I was slowly sort of building up a career, and I used to still think of it as a job, but I can remember, I don't know, probably 20 years ago, I kind of made this decision. This is no longer a job. This is just part of my life. It's just like, if I wasn't doing this to be paid, I would still be doing this. So it's like, this is just part of my life, and it all just mixes into one.
So how did you? So you were involved in floristry.
So I'd done floristry.
How did you then kind of move into this?
Whilst I worked for a florist, and we'd done interior landscaping as well. So, but quite small scale for mainly offices, although we'd done one big department store. We used to actually look after Harrods and all of their internal things when I was still quite young, so gained quite a good experience then. But knew there was still a lot of floristry, and it wasn't quite me, so I kind of moved on to it was an amazing opportunity, actually. In Primrose Hill, there was a pub, and the pub landlady loved plants, so this turned the pub garden into a garden centre. So I worked in a pub and a garden centre. It was incredible. And it was like,
why don't we have... Guys, this is an idea. Come on, pubs with garden centres.
It couldn't have been any better. I'm in a pub every day and working with plants.
Scrap the coffee shop and garden centre. Get the pub and garden centre.
It was amazing.
Is it still there? Or?
No, the pub's still there, but the garden centre's gone. But it was, I loved it. It was amazing. And so that when I was there, it was because it was in a real residential area. I was looking after people's gardens and houseplants. So I used to literally advise people on what houseplants to have in different rooms and cared for people's homes and their houseplants. So I was really, really kind of loved it then. But I'd been in the industry a few years by then, and I'd heard of Ed Wolfe, who was the founder of Indoor Garden Design, and he had a really good name. The business had a really good name of kind of like being at the forefront of the industry. So I wanted to find out more about them, and they were literally 2 streets away from where I lived. Wow. So it's just knocked on the door on a rainy day and said, "This is me. I want to find out more about you. I want to work with you." And and just never looked back. So.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. That was 27 years ago. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Because the company's quite old, almost 40 years. Is that right?
45 years next year.
So how did it start? Because I see it as a pioneer of indoor garden design and houseplant kind of installation. So. Who started it and how did it all begin?
No, 100%. It was Ed Wolfe, a Dutch guy, he was the founder of the business. And he worked in horticulture in the sort of big nurseries when he was young in Holland, and then moved to UK, went into other sort of opportunities. But he knew that he wanted to get back into horticulture. And he knew that interior landscaping in offices and banks and things was really popular in the Netherlands, and he had been to New York and seen how popular it was becoming there. This was sort of early 70s, and so he brought it to London.
Swiss cheese plant, all the rage, just like it is now.
Exactly the same. I know. We used to criticise his look and things that we used to put into offices, and now it's like, actually, it's exactly right. It's just like, let's just repeat all of that because it's perfect.
You can pull out all your old planting designs from the filing cabinets and just go, yep, we'll do that again and that again. Yeah. So here, I mean, it's amazing here. You walk around and there's just tons of plants, which we'll talk about later, but there's quite a lot of people who work here as well, aren't there? So what's the team like?
There's 56 people in the business now. So it's myself, Dave and Pippa, we're the 3 directors in the business that sort of run things, and then we've got a management team, and then there's 50 guys that are out there installing and maintaining plants everywhere.
Yeah, because it's not just the installation, it's also the maintenance, I guess.
Absolutely. So we've got one team literally just focused on all of the new work and installations of it, and we've got two maintenance teams in London on interiors.
Wow, that's super cool.
Yeah. Because I've known you for a few years, and I first met you, I think, at Chelsea Flower Show, and we'll talk about that in a little while. But I did see you a few weeks ago at the project for Thanks Plants, which is part of the Dutch Flower Council, where we did the installation in the hotel rooms, and you did an installation there. And can you explain to us the difference between installation and a planting? Because installation is quite short term, so you can actually show a lot more flair and design in those. Can you explain the differences?
Yeah, completely. I mean, it's an installation doesn't have to be that realistic. It doesn't need to be something that's going to. You're not looking at the environment for something that's going to survive and do well. You're just looking at something that's going to give you maximum impact.
Like
that
flower arranging, but with a living.
Exactly, 100% that, yeah. And my background was floristry, so I use those skills but working with living plants. And that's been, the last sort of 10 years been super popular. We introduced the event side of the business, about 12 years ago, and it was as a kind of an alternative to event floristry, and within our first year, it just took off, and our first project we worked with was BAFTA, so we've done backstage at BAFTA Awards. Wow. So we created this indoor garden at the back of the stage.
No wonder you've got like 50 or so awards behind you on the shelf.
Have you got a BAFTA award for plants?
We do. We've actually got a gold envelope somewhere, a BAFTA envelope.
That's
cool. Create this kind of garden at the back of the stage, which is amazing to work on, and then. Within the same year, worked on London Fashion Week, and we started the first time that we started working for Elton John and the AIDS Foundation with his summer ball, which was exterior event planting. So the event, he had a summer ball at his house in Windsor, and we kind of themed the garden around the event. So theming the actual planting that's there, and also making like a sculptural piece, something that. A photo opportunity that everyone can go and stand next to.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, everyone wants those, don't they?
Yeah, no, completely.
The Instagram moment, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's all, the whole thing's set around the garden and the planting, so it's, rather than it just being like some sort of backdrop, the backdrop is something living. Yeah. So we create these sort of sculptures.
So that's interesting. Shall we talk about the controversial side of it?
Yeah.
Do you ever use fake plants?
Occasionally we do fake it, yes.
What do you think? Do you think attitudes are changing to that? And do many people ask for fake plants, or are they more likely to ask for the real thing? What do you think?
People are definitely still mainly ask for the real thing.
Yeah.
But attitudes are changing. My attitude's changed. I was one of those snobs. It's like, we're not using artificial plants, we're not using them at all.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times, certainly on the installation, the event side, you have to. But also, you might have a really dark office that is actually... is not going to survive. So there's no point is putting a plant in there that's just going to die. It's kind of you want it to work. So sometimes you have to, and something we do more and more is actually a combination of the two. So it's mixing live and artificial together, and it actually. People are completely unaware that you've actually got mixed. They think it's because they see the guys coming in, watering them. They see a leaf going yellow. So they think the whole display is live.
Actually,
and so more and more we do that.
I noticed, Michael, you done that, didn't you, when you were out in Japan? You were planting, didn't you?
I was making up containers with kind of like garden plants, but then I shocked them all by putting in some sprigs of dried flowers, some pieces of statice, just in pink.
What did they make of it?
They were like, whoa, okay. But I love my work in Japan because it gives me that kind of freedom to experiment with that stuff. And of course, it's just short term. And I think in the UK, especially with outdoor installations, probably the same with indoor, we always want something to last for years and years and years. But actually, you can change it. It can evolve. You know, you can replant it from time to time. It doesn't matter. You know, people
completely,
are far too snobbish, aren't they?
No, completely. Yeah. And changing over, with houseplants is like, I've got houseplants I've had for years and years and years. And it's quite nice that you can give houseplants to friends and family and move them around. But there's also some areas that I'd like to always change it and have something seasonal. Yeah. So it's kind of just treat it like cut flowers almost, and you just change that one over every sort of quarter almost. So you don't need to change every houseplant over, but it's just nice to bring something new and different in. So.
And I guess with pho, the question of sustainability is fine because you're using them many times for years, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So it's not single use whatsoever.
No, completely.
Okay. How about some of your installations? So what would be your most ambitious? And you might then... I would ask you about the most famous and the most ambitious, but maybe the Elton John project ticks that box.
I guess the work for Elton and the foundation is probably our highest profile. And creatively, probably some of the most challenging things we've had to do as well. Okay. It's from... what are the most difficult ones we worked on? Mm-hmm. Probably the most challenging was one year the theme of it was Motown, and we built a life-size Cadillac, a 1954 Cadillac. We worked to exact dimensions, and the exterior of it was made from it was chicken wire and wood, but we mossed it. But everyone on the night just thought it was a car that had been covered in moss. It was like everyone believed
it was just the shape, the outline of a car.
And but then the interior of it, we used mainly Callan cherries because we really wanted kind of retro kind of colours within the sort of seating. So we created these seats planted with hundreds of Callan cherries.
It was
amazing.
Because often, how long does the display have to look good for? Sometimes it might only be a few hours, I guess. So
completely. I mean, for that, it's an event in a one-night event. But then often the planting gets reused. It can be reused within the home or in the garden afterwards, or we reuse them on other projects anyway. The shortest term things we ever work on is Fashion Week. We could work on a fashion show. It's you're working on it all morning, and then the fashion show happens, and the fashion show is literally certainly within an hour is over. So it's kind of you have all that prep and all that planning and work. And then it's and then it comes down, and it's kind of if you kind of like we love it, we love what we've done. It's kind of like
building a show garden, and you put all the effort into it, and then you just got to knock it all back down.
5 days, not 5 hours.
That's true. That's very true. But considering you're doing all these different projects, and you're obviously doing things in the corporate world as well, you've got this lovely warehouse that's just a jungle of plants. I mean, literally, I could sleep here. But the turnaround must be quite fast. fast.
Absolutely.
So how do you control that, and how often do you have to replenish your stock?
There's a couple of feature plants that are here that are kind of hitting the roof.
I saw
that worked. They were kind of like our first time at Chelsea. We had a tree there, and it's like different things that we kind of like. We just never want to part with. But the bulk of it is changed every few days. It's 2-3 times a week. We have big deliveries coming in, and the whole place looks different every 2 to 3 days because it's a new stock. It's kind of like
your environment's changing.
Yeah. If I've not been into the office for 2 or 3 days, you come in and you kind of don't recognise it. It's like, oh wow, what have we got now? It's like something completely different.
Do you still get excited when there's a new supply coming in, like new plants?
I always look. As soon as the trucks are unloaded, I'm kind of always the one that's peeping in. I'm unpacking, want to see what's there. Yeah, it's just it's like Christmas.
How
it's
many
like
plants
you want to see.
do you have here?
It does vary depending on the sort of size of them, but I mean up to sort of 5,000 plants at a time we've got here.
This is basically houseplant heaven. This is basically houseplant heaven. That's all I can say. Completely love it.
But what about, like, are there any plants that are your favourites that you come back to time and time again in your designs? Or equally, any that you avoid?
Yeah, there's one I avoid.
You're a plant snob.
No, it's not snobbery. It's hatred.
Can I guess it?
Yeah.
The maidenhair fern.
No.
It's my hate.
That plant is a book.
I'm not
told
being
off if I say
funny.
bastard. Oh, damn it. That's in the thing now.
You will get really told off for that. It looks so beautiful, but I cannot keep it alive.
I can't keep them alive, no. And they are really frustrating with that. And I can't keep them alive. So they're the ones I hate are Dieffenbachers, just because I used to work with them so much. They make it. If you break the leaf, honestly,
dangerous,
my hands have been red raw. They've caused me pain.
So you don't have them here at all?
Occasionally, the guys get them in because they don't know of my hatred of them, and so they do sneak them in. But
I love that you just call them trashy. Can I just confirm no plant is trashy?
He said hatred. That's
that's right. It is. Yeah.
But what about is there one plant that, like, you would use, like, your signature plant? Then someone would be, oh yeah, Ian's done that. Is that that you use a lot?
On the event side is probably Vanda orchids. So we use them. We use them a lot. They're just great to work with. You can achieve so much with them. One a fashion show we worked on, we basically created these kind of like pillars of Vandas, and but kind of hid a lot of the flowers. So the flowers are just at the top. This was about 2 meters high. The flowers just at the top, and then you had the foliage, and then we just worked with the roots and had the roots literally almost like a bridal dress kind of draping on the floor. Just hundreds and hundreds of roots showing. Wow. So they're so flexible to work with. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so I love working with them.
So amongst all your many amazing cool installations, you've also worked with IKEA, haven't you? And you installed the first houseplant area at Chelsea Flower Show, is that right?
So we a few years back. So the first one was At Home with Plants, named after my book, and the idea of it with IKEA was to demonstrate different rooms of the house and how you can influence the room design with houseplants. Right. So we looked at like a bedroom, and it's like, well, it's if you're in an apartment, you're limited to space. Where's that space that you can use? And actually, as we looked at the ceiling, actually for all the rooms, so the ceiling's there. Let's take advantage of it. So we created this kind of basically landscape above the bed. So as you lay in bed, you're literally looking at this lovely landscape above you. Nice. Working with hardy plants that are not going to need constant maintenance, not maidenhair fans, not Dieffenbachers.
Thank goodness.
But sort of hardy plants above, and that was amazing. Just kind of the idea of laying there and looking above, and just like you're surrounded by greenery.
Nice.
And we created a wet room, a shower of good old Vanda orchids. So instead of having a shower curtain, we created this curtain of orchids, and it actually is really achievable because they need to be misted as often as possible.
Did you actually genuinely have a shower of orchids?
Yeah.
A curtain?
Yeah.
On it? Literally.
It was very popular.
Make it happen.
It was very popular. Yeah.
Oh. Why don't we do that then already?
Why don't we do that?
Let's all do it.
Yeah. I guess maybe you've got to have a little bit of light, but
you need a bit of light,
right?
and it's a wet room sort of situation.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
But
As
it's
long as you get, I guess you need to keep your shampoo off them.
yeah.
Oh, new trend klaxon.
Yeah, wow. Listen to that. Cool. Thank you.
Wow, blooming heck, that sounds
Yes.
wonderful. In part 2, we're going to look at how Ian's designs and installations can inspire you with your planting and houseplant choices at home. So bear with us.
This episode of the Plant Based Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Natural Grower. Visit naturalgrower.co.uk to nurture your soil and boost your plants and veg.
Back here with Ian Drummond from Indoor Garden Design.
I'm on eBay ordering all.
We are already on it because orchid showers, but you have just said if you have a cubicle shower, you could perhaps just hang the orchids.
Yeah, you
off
don't
the
need to
top.
go-
You don't need to go full on shower curtain. This is very, very exciting.
It'll be like you're in a Bounty advert or something. Or a shampoo advert.
I've got an idea in my mind, like
Herbal essences.
especially for over winter time. Sometimes I get eucalyptus and I hang that in the shower because obviously the steam releases the
Does it
oils
work?
and it really clears. Yeah, you need quite a lot of eucalyptus. But I'm thinking of having that with some orchids, maybe some air plants.
Oh my gosh.
That's nice.
This is
Super
very, very exciting.
Landscape
Wow.
the shower.
That's your first take home.
I might shower more. Anyway, let's talk about more houseplants.
Yeah.
You know, houseplants have become ultra trendy over recent years, haven't they?
Yeah.
Did you ever think that was going to happen? Did you see that coming?
Always hoped and dreamed of it, I guess, but never thought I'd be trendy. Not that I'm trendy, but I'm working in an
You are
industry that
trendsetting.
look at me. Working in an industry that is now like people are interested in. It's like I used to talk about what I did for a career, and like they didn't really show much interest. Yeah. And now it's actually like, yeah, they really want to talk about it. It's
basically
like
spent like 25 years
Yeah.
going to a dinner party.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, this is really boring. And now you're the person everyone wants to invite.
exactly, yeah. Happened
How
in
do
the
I
end.
look after this plant? Do you get that? What do I do about this?
Completely, yeah. Just be patient. You'll be popular one day, everyone.
That's really
That's
funny.
exactly how we all feel, though, isn't it? Like we've all had these feelings. It's crazy.
Absolutely.
Well, this is part 2 of the podcast where we kind of try and find a few take-homes for kind of, listeners. So, firstly, one of your most difficult environments must be offices because you've got air conditioning, you've got heating, you've got all of those arguments where the blokes want the air conditioner off, the girls want it on or off. I don't know. Girls have always got cardigans on in offices.
To be honest, it depends what age you are.
But basically, an office is is difficult air, isn't it? And probably no natural light. What plants will really, truly survive in those conditions?
Okay. It's the good thing actually is things have changed a lot, and so it used to be office plants were kind of Ed Wolf used to always say houseplants come after toilet rolls. So it's kind of like everyone moves into an office. Once the toilet rolls are in, then they think, oh, we better get some plants in. So it was always like right at the end of the consideration of what's needed. Now it's really moved forward, and we work on designs 5 years before a building's developed. So we can actually control to a degree and suggest where the plants will be and how they can be achieved. So that makes a huge difference. So you kind of, they're built-in planters. It's part of the interior design. So for keeping them alive is now much easier because they're in locations that are suitable. But there are many houseplants that are tough. So our favourite one to use is the Zamioculcas, Zamiofolia, ZZ plant. I mean, they're tough.
I can't pronounce it. I just say ZZ.
ZZ, yeah. I always finish with that because people just look at you otherwise. Like, what's he just said? They're tough. I mean, and they can take darker locations. They can take a bit of neglect. So if temperatures change, they're good with it. So they work well. Dracaenas, most Dracaenas are pretty tough, and Sansevieras as well. They're they're the three that are kind of indestructibles.
I think they've become really popular as well, haven't they? Because they're known for continuing to photosynthesize at night.
At
aren't
night
they?
as well.
So they're good to have in the bedroom, aren't they?
Completely, yeah. They're the perfect bedroom plant. Absolutely, have them either side of your bed and.
And you can propagate them super easy too.
Really easy. Wow. Yeah, completely.
Oh, sorry. Because I'm just thinking, I guess they're good for any room in the house that hasn't got a window as well, isn't it? So
Yeah.
If you've got like toilet under the stairs, something like that.
Yeah.
What do you call it?
Cupboard.
What, you're doing it in your cupboard?
When you gotta go, you gotta go. So, what are the kind of top plants that you would recommend for someone just now starting out with houseplants? Kind of the fail-safe plants.
Okay, so Sansevierias are, I would say, are the easiest, so definitely start with those. Do you know, I kind of think Kentia palms are pretty easy. I think, and it's like you can get them quite small as well. You don't need to invest them to get something too big. But I like Kentias. I've always been a big fan of Kentias. I think they're a good choice.
Nice.
I always say just do a little bit of research as well. It's kind of, don't just randomly buy houseplants, kind of look at plants that kind of, the environment is your apartment hot? Is it dark? Is it bright sun? It's kind of, it's with anything. It's like you don't just chuck a plant in the garden. It's kind of, you kind of research what it needs. It's just do a little bit of research. And it's so easy now.
Like you were obviously then going to say, Zoe, there's so much out there. There's so much information out there. It's easy to access.
Yeah, completely. So just start with that. But but if there's something you love, then take the risk as well. I mean, it's kind of like if you see something you really want, then then go for it.
I've got a China doll plant, which is I don't know its real name.
Radamachira.
Is that what it's called? Yeah, okay. I know it's China doll plant, and I really loved the foliage. I just thought it was super pretty. And the guy who I bought it from said, "Good luck with that, because that's a real diva. You know, I'll be impressed if you keep that alive." And I was like, "Challenge is on." But I really loved it, so I got it anyway.
You pay for it.
It's doing really well. It's I put that on Instagram, and someone actually replied and just said, "Just keep its toes wet, and you'll be fine." Okay. And I do, and it's
nice.
completely fine.
I remember trying to go out when I was a kid, and I couldn't do it then.
But I kill all maidenhair ferns, so.
I know.
They are so difficult,
Really difficult. When I see them out and about, I've just got back from Singapore. They're everywhere, and I love them. They're so beautiful. They kind of in the breeze. Do you know what I mean? They rustle. They're gorgeous. But
is there anyone? I mean, you know loads about houseplants, Ian. Is there anyone in Northern Europe that has actually managed to keep a maidenhair fern more than 2 weeks? Do you know anyone out there? Could we get them on the podcast?
Apparently there is. I've not met them, but it's kind of like
I think they're making it up. They replaced it after 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Taking a photo.
We need them to prove it.
Absolutely.
Oh dear. Where do you think people go wrong with houseplants the most? Overwatering, underwatering?
Overwatering. Yeah. People kind
kill
of
with kindness.
Overlove. Yeah. Always. Yeah.
That's one way to learn.
I think the problem sometimes is people walk past it. Every time they walk past, I need to water that. And probably their partner's doing the same.
Yeah.
And then you've got this plant swimming. It's much better to be dry, and then you'll see when it needs watering.
And if they see something going wrong with a plant, the first thing they do is water it. And probably the reason it's looking like it is because you've given it too much water already. And people give it just a little drop more. But it's like, no.
Well, they could grow cypress, couldn't they? Cypress.
Yeah.
Which is loves to be in water all the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, that would work.
What's the common name for that? Like umbrella tree.
If you are a waterer,
if you're an overwaterer, grow a cypress.
That's a good idea. Actually, these are the plants. Yeah, if you want to keep watering, get these plants.
What do you think is the most kind of underrated house plant? Because there's so many available, aren't there? And I think lots of people tend to go for the same ones, despite whether they are right for their environment or not.
Yeah.
What do you think is kind of the most underrated plant that people don't
What's the
tend
next top model in the
Yeah.
plant world?
Yeah.
Aspidistra.
We both done exactly the same.
They're good. They're tough.
Fail-safe plants. I love their lovely long foliage.
Yeah.
And you can divide them super easy, can't you?
Really easy.
And I've got a massive one in your bedroom. In your bedroom. At my house, in the spare bedroom, there's a huge one. I've had that for years and years and years, and it's been in now 3 different houses. It doesn't care one little bit where it is, or whether it gets watered or not. It's just a happy plant.
It's a cool plant. And is that right? Is it Milky Way, the one with the spots on the leaves?
Yeah.
Cool.
I've got to tell you, I did a shoot for Gunners World magazine of some autumn planters, and I did one and included Aspidistra.
Yeah.
Because outdoors it'll go to like -5, I think.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fine for autumn.
Cool.
underrated indoors and out.
Yes, they are really.
Plant that would work.
There's many houseplants that we can grow outside.
Yeah.
And I know some people who have kind of very tropical looking gardens put their houseplants outside all summer and bring them in the winter.
Well, spider plants is
That's really
bedding.
cool. Yeah.
That's bang on, isn't it?
Yeah, completely.
That's bang on, isn't it? Bang on. Don't I sound cool and trendy?
Are you trying really hard now you're 40?
Shut up! Okay, well then, my next serious question is, Ian, what do you think the future is for houseplants and the trend? Is the bubble going to burst? Dun dun dun.
Oh, it can never burst.
Oh, it's making me nervous if it's
no.
get close down.
No, it's
It survived this long.
I hope it's here for a good long time, and I generally feel it is, because it's kind of, people are so passionate about it, and it's not just something that people are just buying it just because they want that certain look. Yeah. It's kind of, people are really caring for the plants, and I mean that's the key to it. It's not just kind of another ornament. It's something that people are caring for and loving, and so I think that is going to keep it with us for much longer.
And also because people are finding out, the well-being properties.
Completely,
exactly.
yeah.
It's great for your health, so you're not...
Yeah, completely.
Exactly.
And people believe it, where in the 70s it got touched upon, but no one really believed it. They just think it was like a load of hippies kind of thinking, no, plants are good for you. But actually now it's fact. It's a different...
It was NASA, wasn't it, who done the big houseplant study in the 80s, who found out how amazing houseplants were for clearing toxins in the air as well, and that research still stands to this day, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we're also much more conscious about our decisions and the environment, and plants go hand in hand with that. So, right. To finish up the podcast today, this is the big question for you.
It's a nervous face.
Yeah.
I know. Well, where's this going?
Well, I need to think of something really big now. No, not really. Do you grow houseplants at home?
And are they in good condition?
All of the above. House is filled of houseplants, literally filled of them. I kind of, whenever we worked on, especially the event side, if I worked on a project that I kind of like, you've been really passionate about, and it's like you just take it apart. And kind of like, I always like to keep a little bit of that with me. So it's kind of like, you say that when my partner gets fed up with it, because it's like, another one comes in, another plant comes in. Yeah, but it's kind of like, the house is filled with plants. They're not all look immaculate, but they're healthy. But they've been with us for some time, so they've got older.
They have sentimental value.
Yeah, they really do. Yeah, it's like, that one was at BAFTA, and that one was Elton's garden.
Do you keep some of Elton's balls then?
Well, one or two, yes.
The queen of the awkward joke.
Hi, Michael. Anyway, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. I've had just a lovely time, haven't you?
Cool. And also, I don't know, it's just really cool that you were doing it before it was trendy, and that is why it's so great to be here and see someone who really knows what they're talking about and has really seen, the trend before it was there, and now you're reaping the benefits of it.
Absolutely. And sitting amongst plants is just super lovely.
It is. It is. I love coming in this environment. It's kind of like it's a joy to be here still. It's like
all the well-being benefits of being soaked up by you every single day.
That's why you're such a sweet and calm guy. It's the plants have done this to you.
Oh, exactly. Why has that not happened to me then? I'm a house full of plants.
You're not sweet and calm.
I don't think I'm very calm.
Slipper a chamomile.
You're very sweet.
Thanks. Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We've had a really lovely time. I'm now going to go and explore the jungle that is your warehouse again.
Cool, and I'm going to hope that she gets lost. Oh, I love your phone case.
Oh, I love a t-shirt. So we've done all the niceties, basically, haven't we?
It's our mutual appreciation.
You haven't told me you like anything yet, then we might add.
Well, we shouldn't have to. We shouldn't have to feel the pressure. Oh, I like your scarf.
I don't have one.
I like your dress.
Okay, really, I was just joking. Just a joke. I'm really digging your office though. Oh, what's this here?
Oh, there's some little lithops that I need to do something with.
Oh, wowza. Oh my god, they're like ET.
So,
Aren't they cool?
yeah, so these are ones I've actually grown at home. So I brought them in from the greenhouse. He lost his taproot. But yeah, they're now basically ready to fly the nest.
How awesome's that? So we should really say that we're at Pretty Cactus with Donna.
Hello.
Hello, everyone. And we're in your office, in your new place.
Oh wow, these are so weird.
With a tray of lithops.
Literally a tray of lithops.
Ooh. Oh, we forgot to bring donuts. We're going to bring donuts, weren't we, Ellen?
We were going to bring you donuts.
Because colloquially, I call you donut instead of
Do you?
donut. Just so you know.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Just off camera, I call you donut.
I'm alright with that though, as long as you bring me donuts every time you see me.
Next time.
Yes.
Next time.
Anyway, Ellen, you take charge because this needs to be serious.
It seems that it's just all going downhill. Sorry. The podcast has been about indoor planting design, so it seems pretty appropriate that we're here with you and you supply so many amazing indoor plants.
Yes.
I love it here.
And you're in your new shop as well?
I'm in my new shop, yeah. Just moved in.
Yeah.
Been here, what, a week or something?
I opened on Saturday, so yeah, half a week.
Not very long at
not
all.
very long at all.
It's very ordered and looking great for only being here a few days.
Thank you.
Isn't it?
I am very precious about, it looking a certain way.
Precious about it looking a certain way,
yeah.
but not necessarily the plants having to look a certain way.
No, that's true actually. We were just talking about that, weren't we?
Yeah.
Whilst I like everything arranged in a certain way, I like my plants to be quite free and wild.
Unmanicured.
Not manicured. And me and my husband argue about this because he quite likes sculptural plants and I like wild plants.
Wabu sabi.
Yeah. Yeah, hanging free, as I like to call them.
I like the same, Donna.
Yeah, you like to be hanging free, yeah. It's like getting home after a night out, isn't it? Just let it all hang free.
No, it's not just that. It's not after a night out.
It's just the end of the day.
Oh, I like this woman's hair outside. Look at that.
Oh yeah, she's got pink funky hair.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Very cool.
Oh, you are in a hotbed of hipsters here, Donna.
I'm gonna just disagree with you both. I like my plants looking quite formal
Where'd
and
they get them
neat and tidy.
sandwiches? Look, they got really nice sandwiches, I'm sorry.
From the delicatessen.
All right.
That makes me sound really
Gotta
fancy.
get one,
doesn't
Ellen.
it?
But there's a delicatessen
Yeah,
here.
just opposite.
I love
There's
a deli.
delicatessen. Yeah.
You've got a deli, you've got a hedge. It's like a prison camp, isn't it? You've got everything you need on this little industrial estate.
But people are free to leave.
We'll definitely get some food after this.
Yeah, ding dong.
On some of your plants out there, Donna, I noticed you've got those amazing euphorbias.
Yes.
But they've got plant passport stickers on them. What's that all about?
So, plant passports is a new EU legislation that came in December. So, whilst we are currently going through Brexit, it still stands, and it will still stand once we have formally left the EU also. The only change will be, instead of flying the EU flag on the plant passport, it will be a UK flag. But it's basically to try and help control the spread of pests and diseases in plants. House plants, garden plants, basically anything that is in soil, so it's vegetables as well. And yes, a lot of reading to do to make sure that I understood the whole plant passport premise. But yeah, I think I'm there.
But everyone's going to have it, are
So
they?
it's if you sell plants via distance, so anything that gets shipped via courier, Royal Mail, etc. If you sell face to face, you don't need them. So yeah.
How does that work?
I don't really understand why the face to face and the postal is different, to be honest.
Yeah, that's so strange.
But I think it's because if you're selling face to face, the risk of distance travelled is lessened. But I don't really get that.
But there's still a risk because the plant has come into the country.
Yeah, and somebody could be visiting me from Scotland on holiday and buy a plant and drive it all the way back up there. So it's no different to putting it in the post.
Yeah, that's odd.
But that's the legislation.
Yeah.
So so everybody has to register with DEFRA for their own unique plant passport ID. So I've got my own little ID that I put on my plants.
To have your photograph on it and
No, I
everything.
don't.
Like a proper
You have to have a
passport.
photograph of the plant.
Yeah, a photograph of the plant, and you have to have a baby one. No, so this is happening.
And the plant's got to be facing the
no
camera,
glasses
smiling.
No smiling.
No smiling, no glasses or hats. But yes, every plant that goes out in the post is a little plant passport, and I like to leave the ones on the plant that they've come in with. So it's almost like a little stamp of its journey through time as to, you know, where it's been, which I think is quite cute.
I think that's cute. It's nice to know where it's come from.
Yeah.
But you only need to put them on the things that you're propagating yourself, is that right?
Not necessarily. So if you repot, it has to have a completely new plant passport on. Because a lot of the plants that I sell are through a distribution channel, they've actually come in with a plant passport on. For compliance purposes, I just put one on when they go out again anyway. If I were to repot anything, so if it goes into new soil, it has a completely new country of origin. Cool. Which again I think is quite cool, because a lot of them come in for Holland, so they have NL on the passport. But if I repot anything, they go out with GB on the passport.
I guess it all makes sense. It's just a bit of a new practice to get used to. Probably there's a lot of people moaning about it, right?
There is a lot of people moaning about it. There's a lot of paperwork. And you have to do a full admin trail. So if DEFRA ever want to investigate anything, you can kind of prove that you followed guidelines.
But I guess once you're used to it in the practice of it,
it will just become the norm. And really, we do have to protect, you know, our species, our plant species. And, you know, I think isn't this the year the RHS are doing the plant health year or something? So I mean, it all goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. And
we've obviously got the olive tree disease, Xylella. In the, you know, and we have to be really careful.
There's obviously a good reason behind it all. Bloody good reason.
And it's just sort of keeping track of everything. And my husband's a driving instructor, and I explained it to him as it was no different when they introduced road tax for the first time. Everybody complained about it.
And now you just go.
But now you just do it. So
isn't that lovely? Two very different roles, but you benefit from each other.
we have to kind of like relate things to each other's interests to be able to understand.
Does he have a plant in his cup holder?
He doesn't, but I definitely should get that. I should get him a little macrame plant hanger.
Have you seen that photograph that does the rounds on Instagram and Facebook where they've created a cacti garden on the dashboard?
No.
It's like a tray with kind of a little stones and a little cacti growing, and it's on the dashboard.
Do you know what you could use as well? At the garden press event last week, they had this new sticky gravel that actually sticks to the top, but it's also water permeable. Perfect for in-car plantings.
So if you just suddenly break the plants don't go.
Oh, and Ellen, you're doing your test soon, aren't you?
Oh my
God. Your emergency stop. She practiced this morning. She's like, how do I do an emergency stop? And I'm like, darling, you just stop.
Just beat on the brakes.
I'd just like to confirm, this isn't my UK driving test. I've been driving over 25 years.
She's been banned.
25 years. But in America, I have to go and take my American driving test. And one of the things you have to do is emergency stop. And I don't think I've ever done an emergency stop. And I just said to you, didn't I? Do I have to like really ram my foot down, or is it like a gentle stop? And he's like, no, well, it's an emergency.
It's a reaction.
So you've got to stop. So I was like, hold on then, and tried it out.
Oh my god!
So you wouldn't want any cacti on the dashboard if you have to do an emergency stop.
If you've got sticky gravel, you're all right.
Yeah, it needs to be pretty sticky. Or it's going to end up in your lap.
I wonder if in America, because the cars are auto, are you still allowed to eat a sandwich with the other hand?
Well,
is that legal or not?
Do you know, I think you're actually allowed to use the phone with your hand in America, but you're not allowed to text or browse, but you're allowed to make phone calls. And I think different states have different rules. See, these are the things I have to learn for the theory test. So
that must be weird. If you're there and you can drive to another state, there might be something that you've been doing in that state you can't in that one.
That's right.
How did you know?
You're meant to know. You're meant to look it up, and you're meant to know. So I've driven from North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama background, and they all have different. And
you were holding a sandwich all the way.
I'm texting in one hand, sandwich in the other, cruising along the freeway.
Not steering at all.
Can I tell you the funniest news story I ever read? Actually, can I tell you two? Actually,
Go on then.
Only if they're not boring.
The first one is there was a woman who took Winnebago company to court because it said it would drive on auto, so it was obviously had cruise control. So she went out the back and made a sandwich, and it crashed, and she then and I think she then took them to court for that. Isn't that crazy? And the other thing that really makes me laugh, and it's not related, but have you seen that one? I think I sent it to you the other day, Ellen. This woman was on this trip in Iceland, like on a trek, and they lost someone in the group. This is hilarious.
This is brilliant.
And then They were like, and then the group was like, oh my God, we've got to find this woman. Like, and they described the woman, and there was all these announcements and stuff. And this actual woman who was lost was helping them to find the lost woman, but it was her.
She was in the searchlight.
I don't understand how they thought she was lost then.
No, I think they just screwed up their head count.
Maybe she moved. When they counted her originally.
But like, that's the sort of thing Ellen would do.
It's such a shame we're not actually videoing this, because Michael's face.
He's literally an absolute fits of giggles.
He's got beetroot.
That is so funny.
I almost landed on Donna's fire. But it's just an amazing story.
I take offence, actually, to you saying it's something I would do.
Typical.
Because I would never do that, you know? I mean, I wouldn't just stand amongst a search party looking for myself. I'd be putting posters of myself up and everything.
The description of her couldn't have been that good, though.
I'd go all out to find me. So, like, you know...
Oh, I've got sweat on now.
You could almost make it into some sort of like weird satirical film, couldn't you?
Couldn't you?
Like Finding Ellen.
Like Finding Nemo.
Yeah, but Finding Ellen. But it's like the Dory situation where you've forgotten who you are.
I've got heartburn.
You've got to find yourself. Oh gosh.
I can't look at Michael. If I look at him, it makes me laugh.
Do you know what this is called? When you laugh so much that you shake, do you know what that's referred
What
to
is
as?
it?
It's called schlaffing.
Schlaffing. Well, you've just had a real good schlaffing
I've been
session.
schlaffing all over the shop.
Do you know what? Our editor Gareth is going to absolutely kill us for this. He's
He's not going to
kill
let you
us.
back here again.
Honestly, he's gonna really tell us off.
Oh, you two, you're such a laugh.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm really crying now. I don't remember who I am. Where am I?
Finding Ellen.
Who am I?
Ellen.
I often feel invisible, Donna. Often,
Do you?
Yeah.
It's because she's short.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, that's fun.
Is it off yet?
I think it should be now.
This episode of the Plant-Based Podcast is brought to you by our friends at Natural Grower. Launched in 2019, their award-winning liquid fertiliser and soil conditioner is made entirely from maize. Naturally rich in nitrogen, potash, phosphate and other trace elements that plants and vegetables love. It is approved by the Soil Association, Vegan Society and Organic Farmers and Growers. Visit naturalgrower.co.uk to nurture your soil and boost your plants and veg. Enter PBP15 for a 15% discount as a PBP subscriber.
Thanks for listening. You should now be at least 25% more obsessed by plants.
Please follow us on social media. You'll find us by typing in the Plant-Based Podcast.
We also have a fabulous website. Go to theplantbasedpodcast.net.
So tell your friends, leave a review. Why not write a letter to your local MP? Please spread the word about the Plant-Based Podcast.
Oh yes, see you next time, plant friends.